Every year, millions of packages get delivered to front doors across America by people we trust without a second thought. But on one November afternoon in Texas, a routine Christmas delivery turned into a nightmare that would end with a 7-year-old girl gone, and the man who was supposed to simply hand her a box facing a jury for his life. This is the case of Tanner Horner and Athena Strand, cold open on a quiet dead-end road in rural Wise County, Texas. A delivery van pulls up to a small house on November 30th, 2022. Inside is a Christmas present, a box of Barbie dolls meant for a 7-year-old girl named Athena Strand. She runs outside to meet the driver, excited, the way any kid would be 2 weeks before Christmas. Within minutes, she is gone. Not lost, not late coming home. Gone, taken by the man who was supposed to simply hand her a package and drive away. What happened next would trigger a statewide search, expose a chilling confession caught on the delivery driver's own dashcam, and end in one of the most emotional death penalty trials Texas has seen in years. This is the story of Athena Strand and the man who killed her. Who was Athena Strand? Athena Strand was born in May 2015. And by all accounts, she was the kind of kid who filled a room. She lived with her father and stepmother in Paradise, Texas, a small town about an hour northwest of Fort Worth, the kind of place with long gravel driveways and neighbors who know each other by name. Family members described her as bubbly, affectionate, and obsessed with anything pink and sparkly, which made the Barbie dolls waiting for her under wrapping paper feel almost cruelly fitting in hindsight. She was close with her stepmother, who would later testify that Athena had run outside that afternoon simply because she loved watching for delivery trucks, hoping every single one carried something for her. In the days after she vanished, the town of Paradise, a community of fewer than 500 people, organized search parties within hours, walking fields and creek beds in freezing November weather, refusing to accept that a child could simply disappear from her own front yard in broad daylight. The day she disappeared, at around 3:30 p.m. on November 30th, 2022, a FedEx driver named Tanner Horner arrived at the Strand family home with a package. Athena's stepmother later said she stepped away for only a few minutes, long enough to let the dog out and check on something inside. And when she came back outside, Athena wasn't there. At first, it looked like the kind of scare every parent has had, a child wandering just out of sight. The stepmother searched the yard, then the road, then called for help. Within hours, it had become a full missing child case, with the Wise County Sheriff's Office, the FBI, and Texas Rangers descending on the property. Investigators quickly zeroed in on delivery records, since a driver had been at the house at almost the exact time Athena vanished. That driver was 31-year-old Tanner Horner, who told police he delivered the package and left, a story that would not hold up for long. The investigation detectives pulled GPS data from Horner's FedEx van, and the timeline didn't line up with what he'd told them. Investigators also learned Horner had a documented history involving allegations of abuse from years earlier, a detail that reframed how seriously they treated him as a suspect. Within 48 hours, under sustained questioning, Horner changed his account and led investigators to a remote culvert off County Road 3306 near Boyd, where Athena's body was found on December 3, 2022. The discovery devastated a community that had spent 3 days searching every ditch and field within miles, refusing to give up hope. Horner was arrested and charged with capital murder and aggravated kidnapping, charges that, under Texas law, made him eligible for the death penalty. The confession and the dashcam. What made this case especially disturbing to investigators and jurors alike wasn't just the confession. It was the evidence that came with it. Horner's own delivery van was equipped with cameras, and footage and audio from inside that truck captured the final minutes of Athena's life. Prosecutors played this recording for jurors during trial, describing how Horner is heard telling Athena not to scream or he would hurt her, a chilling line he reportedly repeated twice in the moments after taking her. The footage showed Athena, understandably confused and frightened, appearing to ask for her mother. For investigators, this recording erased any ambiguity about intent. This wasn't a case built on circumstantial theories. It was a case with the crime essentially narrated by the man committing it. It became the emotional and evidentiary center of the entire trial that would follow more than 3 years later. The trial begins because of intense local media coverage in Wise County. Horner's trial was eventually moved roughly 45 minutes away to Tarrant County, where it began on April 7, 2026, more than 3 years after Athena's murder. In a moment that stunned the courtroom, Horner pleaded guilty to capital murder right at the start, meaning the trial skipped straight to the punishment phase. Would he receive life in prison or death? Over 19 days of testimony, prosecutors built a case not around guilt, which was already established, but around why Horner deserved the harshest possible sentence. The defense, meanwhile, called forensic psychologists who testified about Horner's difficult upbringing, a history of being bullied, characteristics associated with autism spectrum disorder, and childhood lead exposure, arguing these factors shaped his behavior without excusing it. Prosecutors pushed back hard, presenting Horner's own history of prior abuse allegations as proof of a long-standing pattern rather than a momentary lapse. The sentence, on May 5, 2026, after both sides rested, the jury deliberated for roughly 2.5 hours before returning with a unanimous decision: death. The courtroom, filled with Athena's family, members of the Paradise community, and reporters who had covered the case for years, sat in near silence as the verdict was read. Athena's stepmother and father delivered victim impact statements, describing a little girl who should be finishing elementary school right now, not a name attached to a homicide case. For a community that had spent 3 freezing days in November 2000 and 22 searching fields for a missing 7-year-old, the sentencing offered a kind of closure, though, as is almost always true in cases like this, closure came wrapped in exhaustion rather than relief. Horner, for his part, showed little visible reaction as the sentence was handed down, according to reporters present in the courtroom that day. The appeal and retrial fight. Under Texas law, death sentences are automatically appealed, and Horner's attorney filed that appeal with the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals within days of sentencing. But Horner's team didn't stop there. In June 2026, his lawyers filed a separate motion for an entirely new trial, arguing that the sheer volume of media coverage had made a fair trial impossible, and claiming that online threats had scared off several defense witnesses before they could testify. Wise County's district attorney called the motion a standard part of the appellate process, rather than a serious threat to the conviction, and he was proven right. In early August 2026, the presiding judge declined to sign off on the request, automatically denying it under Texas procedure. For now, the death sentence stands, though the automatic state and federal appeals process, which can stretch on for years, has only just begun. Closing. Athena Strand should be 10 years old this year. Instead, her name is permanently linked to a courtroom in Fort Worth and a culvert off a county road in rural Texas. Her case became a flashpoint for conversations about background checks for delivery drivers, about how small communities respond when tragedy hits close to home, and about what justice is actually supposed to look like when the crime is this senseless. As Tanner Horner's appeals process grinds forward, possibly for years, Athena's family has made clear their focus isn't on him. It's on making sure she's remembered as more than a case file. If this story affected you, consider supporting local child safety and missing persons organizations in your own community.